know that I'm different, self-motivated, self-disciplined, yeah. I learned from my experience. I just want someone.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode from Boyz, man. I'm your host, Terrence the King, and this is another continuation of the sacred edition of From Boyz to Men. I got another castmate on today. Man, this guy right here does a little bit of everything. Man, if y'all in local areas, y'all need to come support this man and everything he do. He making moves out here left and right. Man, right and left. Man, always the best dressed person on set. And always stunning. Better than most of these females on and everything, man. But I'm gonna allow my guest to introduce himself. Go ahead.
What's up? I'm Kobe Carruth.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
What nurse you play?
I play Nurse Kevin, the only male nurse.
Nurse Kevin, man. Hey, bro. Man, Kobe. First off, thank you for coming on this episode.
Yeah.
Man, I know it probably got lost a little bit out there, so you know.
Well, see, I hate this campus because literally I come here like quite often. I might as well go here. And I was like, okay, I know where this is. And then, you know, the GPS always takes you to the wrong parking lot. It takes you to one that's like all the way over here.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, let me just check and make sure. And I saw the directory and I was like, I'm right in front of
You right there. Oh yeah.
Okay. So yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But I just hate how far the parking lot is from all the buildings. Like you gotta.
Trust me, that's
They make sure you exercise here, and that won't work for me because I wear heels all the time. So if I'm walking all the,
I'll be trying to tell them, hey, that's why I usually I had a skate, I had a longboard and a bike. I was like, shoot, one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't doing all this stepping.
At that point, I might as well get those Heelys and just roll around.
Hey, roll around campus. Hey, but low key, they got a lot of crack, so you might fall and bust. But no, Kobe, let's go ahead and get into this. First, man, give the people a little background about you. Talk about what you do and everything.
Well.
Other than acting.
Other than acting. I teach at Tate High School. I'm one of the color guard instructors there. And I just started there this year. And then I also private tutor for color guard as well.
Oh.
For like anybody that wants to just get better. But then I'm the bearded beauty of Pensacola, so I'm one of the drag queens, Fantasia Divine.
Yeah.
So,
doing your thing.
Oh yeah, I do a lot. I wake up and I'm already walking, putting clothes on, walking out the door. So
no time to breathe, no time to do nothing. So how you get into the drag queens and stuff?
Well, me and my mom, when I was younger, we used to watch like RuPaul growing up and everything like that. And I was one of those kids that I'd go upstairs and I was like 6 or 7 and I'd play with my mom's wig and put on her heels and wrap a blanket around me. And then I'd hear her coming up the stairs and I'd go and run and throw everything off because I was too embarrassed or, you know, I didn't have the confidence to actually go out in public. You know, because I knew when I was younger, I thought I knew that I had to be a certain way. And I had to fit in, you know, I grew up with a mom and a dad in my house, so I figured I have to be
like that,
like a man.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm still like a man, boy. And then about 7 years ago, my mom passed away, and when I had gone up to college back in 2019 in Massachusetts, I went to my first ever drag show. And I was sitting there and I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this. I want to try it. And after that show, I came out and I did it once and the crowd loved it. And I'm kind of an attention whore. And they kind of, you know, fed into that ego. And it just, ever since then, I haven't stopped doing it. And I love any form of entertainment, whether it's acting, drag, dancing, singing, whatever it is. I love doing it because I do it more so for the people. I don't necessarily care about the money aspect or anything like that. I care about the fact that I'm able to connect with people who may be going through a tough time and they can see somebody who is also going through a tough time, but they're doing something, you know, they're trying to be a symbol and just connect with people. And that's the whole reason why I do anything entertainment wise. So
you got a passion behind it, and it shows on camera, shows everywhere.
Yep, the passion and the mission.
Yes, sir. So what's the mission?
to change the mindset and to broaden acceptance. And there's already a lot of people out there who's fighting for rights on the LGBT level, but I don't necessarily want to fight for rights on an LGBT level alone. I want to just fight for basic human rights to be ourselves in all authentic ways, whether it's the color of our skin, our sexual orientation, what we choose to wear, all that type of stuff. That's why 90% of the time I wear what I wear, because to me, clothes have no gender. Clothes are clothes. Like, what are you gonna...
Actually, the first people to wear heels were actually men.
Exactly.
Back in the day. So, and pink was actually more, well, only men was actually able to wear. Like, really, a lot of the stereotypes that society pressed upon us is a new way of thinking. Because if you go back to early, like, 1500s, you'll be shocked.
Men were wearing wigs and makeup
kilts
and
dress.
heels.
Think about it. Even still to this day, in like I think in like the courts in Europe, they still wear the white powder wigs and stuff. So,
plus, ain't nobody ever told me that I look bad in heels. They always tell me, they're like, "Oh, okay, I see you." When I get a bad compliment, honestly, to me, like if I get a negative comment, to me that's better, because it's obviously I'm taking time out of your day. You're paying attention to me. You're noticing me, so I did my job right.
Yeah. Man, hey, that's what I'm talking about. No, because look, I love that, because over the last my whole life, I realized it's like, man, most people always judge other people. They need to focus on themselves. And you start thinking about, like, you know what? Everybody, you would think like, oh man, why do they don't think like me? Nobody's supposed to think like you. You're the only person that probably don't think like yourself. Yeah, you have people that may have similar thoughts of you, like you, but no one should look. Our individuality is what make us who we are, and we gotta start appreciating our individuality for everybody, because
at the end of the day, the way that I look at life, and it's a symbolic way of looking at it, but everybody says like we're on a path, and our path just leads, I view it as like I have a very imaginative mind, so I'm like actually painting a picture in my mind, and it's a path that we're all walking on our own. It all leads the same way. We're all going from one side to the other, but our path may go this way and then come back this way, but it's still going to keep going forward, and nobody else is going to be on your path with you. They may be next to you, and their paths may be close, whether it be a loved one or a close friend, but your path is still going to go this way, and they're going to just keep going, and that's why I live my life to my fullest extent. I do things for other people, but at the same time, I have to realize that going throughout this life, I'm living it for myself. Nobody else is living my life, and I don't wake up for somebody else. I wake up for myself, and I go to sleep for myself. So at the end of the day, when I'm old and gray and I'm dying for myself. I'm not dying for anybody else. So there's no reason for me to sit here and listen to what other people are saying, especially if they're being negative. I'm like, okay, you're not me. Like,
does it really matter?
Exactly.
Yeah, nah, bro, that's a great way of thinking. Most people don't look at life that way, but I feel like people that been through stuff, they do. And now that we're at this stage now, and this evolution in this world and everything, I like more people more spiritually in tune with themselves and everything, and I just love. It's like people look at auras and everything. It's just such a lot of vibrant colors out here, because I'm glad to see different people doing different things, because they give you a different perspective on life in general, and that's what life is all about. Sharing your perspective on how you see the world and how you perceive things, and understand even if someone see it different. Yeah, it's cool. That's their way of thinking. But you know what? That shouldn't change your way of thinking on how you see it. Just add a different viewpoint on where you get to.
Because last I checked, we're not all in the military, so we don't all have to be the same.
Yeah.
We don't have to dress the same. We don't have to act the same. We're all different. We're all unique, and that's also one of the things, drag wise, that I like to convey is as a bearded queen, I'm one of two bearded queens in Pensacola, and the other one doesn't perform as much.
Oh, so you're the one.
I regularly perform, and it's kind of funny because I have people who come up to me. I've gotten offers to shave my beard, and they're like, "Oh, I'll pay you to shave your beard," and I'm like, "Well, then it's not me. I'm not why, And then there's people who come up to me and they're like, "I want to do drag, but I don't want to shave my beard," and I'm like, "Don't talk to me. You're talking to a bearded queen, and you stop." No, and that's one of the things that, especially in all aspects of my life, I just want every person to be accepted for being uniquely themselves.
Yes.
And I've already been through a lot, and I'm only 21.
Damn, you're 21? Hey, trust me, the 20s are the worst part. I'm not saying that, but look, I feel like this is how my viewpoint was, because 20s, because look, from time you're born to time you graduate high school, even if you go to college, that's what people are trying to tell you what you're supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
20s when you find out who you are.
Exactly.
So it's the real journey of self-discovery.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I say, it's about to this is the hardest times, because this is your time where you either you conform to what the society wants you to be, or you go all out and be who you know you are.
See, I think I hit my 20s when I was 16, to be honest.
Okay.
It was because, after my mom passed away, I moved, which is why I moved to Pensacola, Fort Walton, but I moved down here to live with my dad. And my dad's in the military. He's still in the military, so he's that, typical, yeah. And me and him didn't really see eye to eye, and personally, I always thought that it was me. I always thought it was my fault. Same with my mom. My mom passing away, I thought it was my fault, and all these, I always blamed myself for it. And I was in ROTC, I did choir, I did theater, I did color guard, I was
everywhere.
I was doing everything. And as I was doing all of this stuff, I was like, I'm doing all these things, but I'm different than everybody else who's doing it. And I realized that I started doing it in my own way, and I was doing just as fine as everybody else, if not better, because I was happy that I could be myself doing what I wanted to do, and then the first time I got married, after that, I was already kind of adultish. Yeah. So.
Well, you've been married already?
I've been married twice.
God damn! Boy, that's one thing I'm scared of. Look, everybody because you seen the thing on Facebook. I was like, oh, they ain't gonna get me. Look,
I see all my friends from high school, and they're like, oh, look at my wedding photos. They're so cute. And I was like, I've been there, done that. Don't want to do it again.
I'm like, shoot, I'm taking divorce photos. Hey,
exactly. That's exactly what I did too. Yeah. So.
Man, so Kobe, how different is Kobe from Nurse Kevin?
Actually, they're not different. So, and I feel like that's the greatest thing about this TV show is, Elrico does a really good job of each character is really made to fit that actor. Yeah. And my role specifically, the first audition I had gone to, I went for one of the, kind of more, I went for detective. Okay. And that one, I thought it fit me. I had the same backstory, but I wasn't intimidating enough, which makes sense. And then they had me try out for another role, and it was kind of thuggish, and I was like, okay, I could be thug. And I had gone for that audition, and I know I totally bombed it, and I was not. I'm just not thug material. And then I had gone back for the callbacks, and they wanted me to do a different person. Every audition that I did, I had to do a different person. So then we went for the callbacks, and they had you do the scene, and then if they liked it, they'd have you do your monologue. Well, I was in the group with 5 people. One person did his scene, got it over with, went on one side of the room. The other person did his scene, got it over with, went on the other side of the room. I went up there to go do my scene, and he said, no, I just want you to say your monologue. And I was like, can I just leave now? If you don't want me here, can you just tell me that? And so I had done my monologue, and he just stared at me for like, it felt like 2 years. I was just standing there, but it was like 5 seconds. But he was just kind of like, we've had the hardest time. I've been talking to the producer. We've had the hardest time figuring out where to put you in the show. And right there, my heart just broke because I was like, okay. I don't want to be a part of the show anyways. And so then I was like, I went through this whole mental breakdown in like 2 seconds, and then he was like, so we're just going to write a character for you. And so they wrote Nurse Kevin based off of me. And when I had called him and I said, how do you want me to play this character? What is this character? He said, it's you. Be yourself. And so when I'm on set, I'm me,
Oh my God. And
so
dang, that's a. Look, I think Mr. Rico probably seen so much on you. Say, bro, he got to be in here. He ain't this. It's like when he said he created the roles. I know. Hey, but congratulations on that.
I appreciate it.
Man, that's phenomenal. How does it feel knowing that, hey, your energy and your authenticity. Say the word for me.
Authenticity.
There you go. Yeah, that word was so empowering that you got a role created for you.
I mean, I'm not one to like kind of brag or anything like that. I don't like to do that type of stuff.
Yeah.
I'll give myself a pat on the back, and then I'll just keep going because there's always something. But for me, I've been chasing this acting dream for years.
Yeah.
Like it first started in high school with theater, and then after that, I went and I auditioned for the American Musical and Dramatic Academy in New York, and I got in, but it was like $300,000 for 2 years,
You'd be like,
and I had to go for 4 years.
Ooh.
And they were like, well, you can pay monthly, and I was like, okay, well, how much is that? $2,000 a month, living in the heart of New York, going to school and having I know.
Yeah.
So that fell through, and then I went to college for my bachelor's in performing arts and fine arts. Then COVID hit, so that fell through.
Ooh.
And then I had gotten a flyer from one of my best friends, one of my old friends, Dylan. Me and him hadn't talked since high school. Just random text message saying, "Hey, Adrian Armante is going to be in Destin. He's looking for actors to kind of help them get their lives together." Well, yeah, get their lives together. And I had gone out to it, and then I had, unfortunately paid like $6,000, but I went to I went to Hollywood, and I performed in front of 16 casting agents and some casting directors, and I have like 4 or 5 actors on my resume now because of it, and then nothing came out of that. So then I was just like, my whole acting dream, it's done, it's over. I might as well focus on drag or focus on something else. And then one of my most recent friends sent me the flyer for the auditions for Sacred Heart, and it was like 2 days before the audition, and I was like, there is no way I'm gonna no. But then I did it, and it's very satisfying to know that, after all of this hard work, finally, I'm being seen, my voice is being heard, and my talent is there for people to see, instead of me just knowing what I can do but not having the platform to do it and show people. So it's definitely one of those, I gave myself a little confidence boost because I got a whole character growth, but then I was like, okay, that's step number 1. Now let's just keep going. Can we let's grow this, let's get shows made after me, let's get like movies, and not necessarily made after me, but more so to where I can just be myself, and that's the most important thing. Acting, we play the part of somebody else, but that character is somehow still us.
And live inside of it. Yeah.
Exactly. And if we can get these parts that we can connect so easily with, then it just makes that us being on screen, it makes it that more authentic rather than it being scripted and you're watching and they're like, oh no, our table, it's broken.
Yeah.
So.
No, because I agree with that completely, because even to a certain extent for my character, I used to be that guy.
Mm-hmm.
So making that switch, it was just like I just had to dig into the side of me that's like I try to suppress and I healed from.
Mm-hmm.
But in a way, it sort of was a healing process too, to see where man, I used to be like this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to steal my homies, girls and stuff,
Yeah.
but like I used to just say, I was a womanizer in no sense of the way. I was a fuckboy. I would just say it like that. I used to be a fuckboy.
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody had their fuckboy ways and fuckboy days. Not everybody. I mean, some people. You probably,
I haven't yet.
Oh, they coming. But man, it was just like same thing with your journey, man. It was just I felt that because just like you been on the same path. It felt like every time I got to a door, it got slammed right in my fucking face. And if it won't even be, sometimes it won't even be with them, it'd be through situations that came up
Mm-hmm.
with anything I went through. So I was just like, I was supposed to be on MTV Are You the One in 2019. But then I had a roadblock hit me.
Mm-hmm.
And it took my whole life through a curveball phase. But looking back at it now, it's like all that did was prepare me for this. And now look at what God did for us. Look.
Look at where we're at.
Look at where we at.
Yeah.
Cause think about it, like it makes sense now. I think that quote. Who says that? It said that quote. It's like Steve Jobs said, like sometimes looking forward you can't see the path like forming.
Mm-hmm.
When you're looking back, you can connect the dots.
Exactly.
And like looking back, connecting the dots, like with everything from childhood to I even was in the military. I tried to be individual even when I was in the military.
Mm-hmm.
Military to coming back to school and all them experiences, they just added more depth to the character and more. Like if I ever get a role with any type of aspect, I'm like, bro, yeah, I did that part already in my life. I can do this, yeah.
Exactly.
And now it's just fun.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with. Obviously, I agree with Steve Jobs. It's life is like a connect the dots picture. You don't know what it is, but you see all of these dots, and you may not see where the dot is because you're always looking for the next number, and you're like, okay, where am I going? But at the end of it, it always makes a picture, and touching back on, especially with you having your character to where you can have something that's you're reflecting back on in a positive way. You're able to look back and say, you know what, yeah, that was me. Let me tap into that because now I know what it's like. I know how to feel those emotions, and let me showcase that. And that's one of the things, especially with my students, that I want to, and for anybody, I really want them to go out and find some type of, I mean, you don't have to, but I personally feel like any type of entertainment, any type of, performing arts, whether it's dancing, singing, acting, I mean, performing arts is such a broad spectrum. There's so many things that you can do. Any hobby that you ever do, always connect it back to yourself and figure out, why am I doing this hobby? There's a reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. Anytime that you have a job, why are you doing that job? And a lot of times, like my kids, they'll find out, I'm doing this because I'm able to be putting my emotions out into it, and I'm able to, just kind of be myself while I'm doing it. And life is already hard enough. There's no reason to be trying to be somebody else.
Yeah.
And we're already trying to figure ourselves out and we're gonna spend our entire lives figuring ourselves out.
Oh, you said,
You know,
you said that part.
I mean, and trying to connect yourself with somebody else and say, okay, well, I'm like this person. Maybe I should be this person. Well, no, you may have some similar things, but we're all different. All of our chemical makeups are completely different. You may look the same as somebody, but you're not the same. You know, things that may hurt you may not hurt me. You know, and one of the worst comparisons that I ever hear is, you know, oh, you're going through tough times. Oh, well, you know, there's people starving in Africa. Yes, there's people starving in Africa, and I feel for those people that's starving in Africa, but that doesn't invalidate what I'm going through, you know. And for them, you know, let's say you spilled some milk.
Yeah.
People cry over spilled milk. Some people don't. You know, if somebody in Africa spilled some milk, they wouldn't cry because they had the milk, you know. Whereas us, we're like, oh, now I gotta go buy more milk, and then there's the people who are, you know, and we're all different, and we all handle situations so differently. So there's no reason to compare yourself to anybody else, and there's no reason to sell yourself short just because all these people that are rich and famous are making it big and everything like that. That doesn't mean that you can't. Just because you don't have the same background as them, just because you don't have the same skill set as them, doesn't mean you can't be as successful as them.
Facts. Damn. Boy, I'm over here. Look, it's like I'm in my therapy session. Shoot. Hey, look, how you just unpacked all of that is literally how most of my counselors, me and her talking, we be unpacking stuff just like that. And it's just so great to see that some people out there that can see the same thing and see the light at the end of the tunnel. And we gotta understand, like, we all going through something.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it may not be important to you, or you may think it's not as big as to you, to somebody, they may be the biggest thing in their life. So we need to stop thinking with sympathy and get more empathetic.
Mm-hmm.
Because empathy is the one way that we're actually going to be able to grow as a planet.
Exactly.
Because don't not acknowledge that their problem is a problem for them just because it ain't a problem to you.
Mm-hmm.
Get to a place where you can get understanding. It's like, dang, tell me, so why is this so important to you? Ask that question. Then you find out more about the situation than you ever thought and could expect.
And I feel like if the whole world just kind of had that mindset, which is never going to happen, but you know,
it happens in movies.
In movies.
In movies.
You know, if the whole world had that mindset of embracing our individualities, you know how many wars wouldn't have happened?
Oh yeah.
Because, you know, 90% of wars and fights and arguments are because of you just don't like that person. You don't like something about them. They're not you, you know. And if we had the mindset of it's okay that they're not me, you know, then we'd be a little bit more open to the idea of all just living on this planet together. You know, that's at the end of the day, that's exactly what it is. We're all on this earth together. We can't leave.
Yep.
We didn't ask to be put here. We're here, you know. So, and just, you know, stop comparing yourselves.
Fact.
Honestly. I mean, you know, I don't know if your mom is still alive, right?
Yeah.
So, whenever I tell people, you know, because my mom committed suicide is the way that she passed away. Yeah. And that's why I'm such a huge, you know, suicide advocate. But when I tell people that, they're like, oh, I could never imagine. And I'm like, you know, I'm here, you know, it took a while for me to get over it, but I was able to, I mean, it still hurts, it's never going to go away, but I was able to conquer and keep going because that's what she would have wanted to do. And then, you know, other people are like, oh, I don't think I could continue living, you know, and I mean, to me, that just shows how different everybody is, you know. I can do it because I've been there and I've done it, you know, and it was a hard journey, but I was able to do it. And, you know, people looking into it, they're like, oh no, I could never do it. And then there's other people One of my old friends, he was talking to me. His friend, his friend's mom had passed away, and after she passed away, his friend passed away because he didn't want to live without his mom. So there's so many things that everybody goes through, and we all handle it so differently. And I embrace that different,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But that's my little psychiatrist rant.
Yeah. That just shows the importance of mental health and understanding not everybody think the same way. Like, I've been there before.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've been
Mm-hmm.
this close. And sometimes you just don't want to deal with this no more, because one thing in life that you got to realize, life is the beautiful lie, but death is the ugly truth.
Yeah.
And man, sometimes life do get hard.
Mm-hmm.
I thank God for my mental health counselor, because she let me know, it helped me get through a lot of stuff that I didn't know I was still dealing with. And basically how she helped me with it, she really unpacked it, where it's yeah, the pain always there. Like you said, it's just over time, you just learn how to deal with it better.
Mm-hmm. It's never gonna leave you, and that's why a lot of people struggle so much with mental health. I struggle with mental health. I've attempted a few times, and I've been hospitalized for it, my entire life. And the one thing about it is, part of it is, we go through things as kids. We may not remember it, but our body still remembers the trauma that we went through, the emotions that we went through. And so that it carries on, and it keeps building, and rather than, looking at it as, oh, I went through all this stuff, it must mean that I'm not supposed to be here. If I was supposed to be here, why am I going through all this stuff? Rather than looking at it look at it as, this stuff is making me stronger, because I'm still here. I may not like it, but I'm able to deal with it, and honestly, the way that I look at it, if you're not supposed to be here, you would die.
Yeah.
You would, even if you get struck by a meteor falling out of the sky, volcano erupts, or, you get hit by a car. If it is your time to go, then it is your time to go. That is what is going to happen. And, sometimes the ugly truth is, sometimes the way to go for some people is to take it themselves.
Yeah.
But that is always that's just, it's your time to go, but at the same time, it's you're jumping the gun too early.
Yeah.
If you take your life and you failed, don't take it as, oh, I failed, I can't even take my own life, I can't do anything right. Rather than taking it as that, if in the next few days you didn't get hit by a bus or anything like that, obviously you weren't meant to go.
Yep.
There's a reason why you're still here. And when you're supposed to go, when your job is done, then your job is done. You will know when you're supposed to go. And that's why a lot of people, when they're older, and they're laying in that their deathbed, they accept it, and they know what's coming, because they know it's their time.
Yeah.
And they're okay with it, because they've lived their lives to the fullest, because every day they just lived with a mission of, let me just live today. Let me just get through today. Don't think about tomorrow. You can't change the past. You can think about it, but you can't change it. So what can I do today to just be happy? What can I do today to just get through the day, make my life a little better?
Yeah. Once we find ourselves happiness in ourselves, everything else is just added.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's putting on a fake smile.
Oh yeah. Hey, because look, matter of fact, this reminds me, for all these guys that got, everybody that got friends, and they're always smiling, go give them a hug. Mm-hmm. And it's tell them you're always here for them. Because sometimes, majority of the time, the people with the biggest smiles are wearing so many different masks, and they're that close, because you would never know what they're going through. Mm-hmm. Man. But Kobe, man. Ooh. Man. So, what is a piece of advice you want to leave this audience with?
I mean, other than the, theatrical rant that I went on.
No, that was that was life. That was. Hey, look, this is what this show's about.
Start healing.
Hey, that's what it's about.
I guess if anything, dreams are what you make them. Mm-hmm. If you stop working for what you want in this life, then you're never gonna get it. Just like with you and with me and our acting lives, acting is so hard to get into. It's if you don't have a finger in the door, you got to get a fingernail and then kind of pry it open,
may fall off a little.
Exactly, it may break a little bit, and then you have to wait and then stick it back. Whatever it is, whatever your dream is, if you stop fighting for it, then it's not going to chase you. Dreams are what you make them, and if your dream is to go out and be an astronaut, then
do it.
Go be an astronaut. Do what it takes to get there. And if you start doing this and you realize this isn't what I want to do, that's okay. Our lives are as short as we make them. And, we can do so many things within our lifetime. And if you try this one thing and it doesn't work out, try something different. Do something new. Just always have a goal and always have a dream to work towards. Because if you don't have anything to work towards, you have no purpose to keep going. So then you fall into a rut. Whereas if you have a dream, if you have a goal, if you have something to set your mind on, even if it's just a hobby that you want to learn, it's something to keep you going.
Oh yeah. Nah, hey y'all know what I'm saying, man. Kobe, man, this interview made my heart full, man. Look, shoot, man, y'all give it up to Nurse Kevin, also Kobe, also the Bearded Beauty, and also
Fantasia.
Man,
everything.
He does it, like I told y'all, man, at the beginning. This man does it all, and do it with a smile on his face, because he's doing what he loves to do. Remember this.
Unapologetically myself.
Exactly. Look, if y'all ain't get anything from this is what y'all need to take away. Find out who you are and be who you are unapologetically to the fullest of your capability, because this is your life. You gotta live it for you. Not for the next man, not for your parents, not for anybody else, but for yourself. You got a dream, go get it. Like you said, you gotta go get it. Because look, God dangling in front of your face, he's just gonna see what you're trying to do to go do it. And the first 2/3 of the part of God is go. So that means get your ass up and get on. Yeah, man. But Kobe, man, thank you again for coming on. Man, I want to thank y'all for tuning in, for watching. And like I say before, we always leave. Dream big dreams, because small dreams have a little magic. And how big would you dream if you know you couldn't fail? And you remember this. You do your best and let God take care of the rest. Man, thank you again, Kobe. Nurse Kevin. Hey, thank y'all again for tuning in. And y'all, peace, love, happiness, y'all. We out. Yeah.
I know that I'm different, self-motivated, self-disciplined, yeah. I learned from my experience. I just want someone to take me serious. Real questions that I ask. How long will this solo trip last? I'm content with being alone in the past, but it's changing and it's something I can't grasp. Turn off my phone, I'm in my zone, so now I'm acting different. I'm to myself, I'm in my head, mapping out this life I'm living. Shadow work on myself, I done already seen hell. Can't fit in, so I rebel, but I don't miss a beat. I don't miss a beat. At the